In Holmes County, Ohio, there is a farmhouse kitchen where the same jar has sat on the same shelf for decades, not because nobody cleaned it out, because nobody needed to replace it. The woman who keeps that kitchen scrubs cast iron with it, wipes down the counter with it. 3 uses, 1 jar, it costs $3. Most households keep a cabinet full of specialty cleaners. 1 for the bathroom, 1 for the kitchen, 1 for the drain, 1 for the laundry. The Amish kitchen has 1 jar. That gap deserves a closer look. The powder is called washing soda, sodium carbonate, not baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, and sits at a pH of around 8.3. Washing soda sits closer to pH 11. That shift makes it significantly more alkaline, aggressive enough to tackle grease, mineral buildup, and soap scum in ways that milder powders simply can't. What that alkalinity does, chemically, is weaken the adhesion between grease and a surface. It doesn't perform miracles, but it makes the grease easier to lift than most people expect from something this plain. Apply it, give it a few minutes of contact time, wipe. In most kitchens, on most surfaces, it earns its keep. And without ammonia, bleach, or the synthetic fragrance compounds that fill most commercial cleaners and require decent ventilation to use safely indoors. The safety profile of washing soda is worth noting accurately. It is an irritant. It can cause skin and eye irritation with prolonged contact, and you should wear gloves when working with concentrated solutions. It is not something to use casually around young children, but the hazard profile is meaningfully different from a bathroom spray that carries ventilation warnings for a reason. Farm families kept washing soda in open crocks on kitchen shelves for generations. There's a reason it earned that kind of domestic trust. The history here is harder to pin down precisely than some YouTube videos suggest, and that's worth being honest about. What is documented is that washing soda has been used in domestic cleaning since at least the 19th century. Early American household manuals, the kind distributed through agricultural extension programs and women's institutes in the early 20th century, regularly listed it as a general-purpose cleaner for floors, fabrics, and drains. It was a staple before the post-war expansion of branded household products reorganized the cleaning aisle into a dozen separate categories. Whether there's one specific government bulletin from 1932 with the exact instructions is a claim worth verifying before repeating. What isn't in doubt is the broader pattern. A functional, inexpensive compound was already doing this job before the brands arrived. The brands arrived anyway. The compound didn't go anywhere. Most people just stopped looking at it. One detail that does hold up historically, washing soda was a core ingredient in the first commercially produced laundry detergents of the early 20th century. The chemistry wasn't hidden or obscure. It was the foundation. What changed wasn't the science. What changed was the packaging, the branding, and the gradual splintering of one useful compound into a row of specialized products, each solving a problem the original powder had already been handling quietly for decades. Here is what washing soda is genuinely useful for, stated without exaggeration: kitchen grease. A solution of a couple of tablespoons in warm water applied to greasy stovetop surfaces works well on fresh grease and adequately on baked-on residue if given some soak time. It won't always replace mechanical scrubbing on heavy buildup, but it reduces the effort considerably. Laundry. Added to a wash load, it can help soften hard water and improve detergent performance. Fabrics washed in hard water areas often respond noticeably. This is probably its most consistently documented household use. Drains. A regular flush of washing soda and hot water is a reasonable preventative for greasy drain buildup. It is not a substitute for a drain snake on a serious blockage, but as a maintenance habit, it has merit. Mineral deposits. Soaking a fixture in a washing soda solution can loosen hard water scale. Results vary with how severe the buildup is and how long it's been there. It works better as a regular maintenance practice than as a rescue treatment for years of neglect. Grout and mold. A dilute solution applied to grout and left for several minutes before wiping can reduce surface mold. It is not a deep remediation tool for serious mold problems, which require a different approach. For routine bathroom maintenance, it's worth trying. General floors. A dilute solution on tile and sealed surfaces works well and leaves no residue film. This is one area where it has a genuine edge over some commercial cleaners. That is not 15 products, but it is a reasonable substitute for several of them in many homes. And here is something worth sitting with. Every one of those uses requires the same purchase, the same shelf space, and the same 5 minutes of learning. There is no separate bottle for the drain, and a different one for the laundry, and a third one for the grout. The knowledge transfers. Once you understand what the alkalinity does and what surfaces to avoid, you have the whole system. That is genuinely unusual in a category designed to make you feel like each problem requires its own proprietary answer. The limitation to state plainly and loudly, washing soda will damage unsealed natural stone, marble, limestone, unsealed granite, and similar calcium-based surfaces should not come into contact with it. The pH is high enough to etch them. On those surfaces, use pH-neutral soap and nothing stronger. This matters because a lot of older homes have stone surfaces that look sealed and aren't. When in doubt, test on an inconspicuous area first or skip it entirely on stone. There is a simpler version of the story here, underneath the industry history and the Holmes County kitchen and the 19th century household manuals. Washing soda is old, it works, it costs almost nothing. And the cleaning aisle, which is structured to sell you a separate product for every separate problem, each in its own branded bottle, has no particular interest in reminding you it exists. That is not a conspiracy. It is just how markets work when there is no margin in the honest answer. A 5-pound box runs about $3 at most hardware stores. It has been in the laundry aisle for as long as the laundry aisle has existed. It will still be there next to the products that cost 15 times as much and for many jobs work less well. Most people walk past it every time. It has a plain label. It does not have a mascot, a scent variant, or an end cap display. It does not need any of those things to work. It just needs someone to pick it up, read the back, and give it one weekend in the kitchen. The jar in that Holmes County kitchen is not magic. It is just sodium carbonate. That turns out to be enough.